Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for giving me a voice. I will today talk about algae using as part of every stage of green chemistry and green energy. My talk would be based on work of Professor Ordonez from Santiago University, and the review work is uh, bioabsorption of heavy metals with algae, critical review of its application of real effluents. The work is telling about different cases. First is the documentation as source of feed, which can help avoid and replace our conventional method of of conventional method of documentation, and therefore uh, therefore we can not conventional method of hydrogen production by replacing by documentation. Other way is that alga is good source which can be reducing the carbon dioxide effect due to much green area, leaves, both leaves and and microbial, because plants, algae are plants which are containing biophotolysis first, also because it can be in first stage on cultivation. It is material which can produce some hydrogen due to water splitting and due to biophotolysis. In this stage, it also can biosolve some heavy metals. So ideal place is will be some place, for example, industrial wastewater, but far away from sewage sludge, and thus we can form the method of taking, but we need to first say that some brown and gold algae needs to be far away from clean fresh water, because in fresh water salt material can be easily bloom and makes, like in Poland, the free freeware uh, free uh, leaching to the fresh water of alga cause blooming and destroying the alga leaf. It's very useful in case especially of cadmium, copper, and lead. And this shows that we can have many pollution areas. And this is the showing us as showing us that biosorbing cost can be very good for medium. The cost is of us using a solvent is much lower than in case of the others as as absorbents. But this is also as for example uh, using some carbon bonds, calcium rocks, like in using in for using this, but the other is as energy carrier is for hydrogen is quite high due to other only for hydrogen. Therefore, our gas needs to be multiple using. After doing that, we have catch carbon dioxide. We can use as a biosolvent and little hydrogen. These are free and free abilities. This also giving some green areas, so giving us more that can be enclosed, for example, in the close cities area, where or in for example hospital waste. It can be also by fungi and bacteria and algae, which is cyanobacteria. And so this bacteria due to cyanobacteria, which are more careful but less much more controllable. But this is argument which is more efficient in case. But due to bacteria is much simpler, much efficient of algae, it can be used also as a protein source. The protein source is after the making of fermentation. Before we can use these lipids of these algae to produce a biofuels of biobutanol and acetylbutanol, and which is very common. Therefore, the chlorophyta and use. The biggest disadvantage is how to get my biomass to keep and catch to not use to stay. Advantage is taking oxygen. After documentation can be used or other solution can be used as a source of polymers or as hydroalkoxylate, which can replace polyurethane, even lactate. So this is a huge amount. The protein also can be used as easily consumed protein type after easily acylation. These are common use and can be solving these methods, especially in case of chromium and zinc is very efficient. Challenges is to see which algae and macroalgae take to have select for the sewage. Better will be microalgae because it can be easily to use. But in case of mining and closed area without flowing to the river, but needs to be catch, red algae and brown algae are very good. So this is selection of how we can use. The interest is going upward and more useful. But we cannot forget about other methods, other ways. But green algae can be very after multiple usage in plant and well designed and the important part of living. Thank you very much for listening to me.